friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing a basically full face get ready with me. It's been some time since I've done that. And a more recent subscriber to my channel, she commented in one of my more recent videos and she said, do you do like a full face type video, or is it just primarily eye looks that you do on your channel? And I said, oh no, I do get ready with me's, but then I looked back through my videos and it has been quite some time since I've done that. So I thought that would be kind of fun today. And of course, there's a topic that I really want to dissect with you guys in today's video. So let me show you some of the makeup products I'll be using. These are new to me products, but not necessarily new out on the market. So the palette that I'll be using for my eye look is the What's Up Beauty Dragon Eye palette, which is now fondly referred to as my Dawn palette, because my dear friend and subscriber Dawn, she let me know that this had been re-released or restocked or whatever, however you word that. And it's a palette that I've looked at before and I thought, ooh, it's coming out. I gotta go get it. So I think Dawn and I got it at the same time, right, Dawn? You can remind me about that in the comment section. But this is such a gorgeous color story. I think it's got a lot of really pretty options, some neutrals, but then some beautiful pops of color, which if you guys have been here for a while, you know that that's what I love. I'm gonna be focusing on this side of the palette, I think, but I actually might use that. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I have tried filming this video 2 other times. Once was before work last week, and Bitsy, even though now I leave this door open, she was just a wreck. She was a wreck and she would not stop crying. So it's like she wanted me to go downstairs with her. So I follow her downstairs and then she turns right around and comes back up here, lays down on that bed and goes to sleep. And by that point, it was too late for me to film. And then I did try Friday after work to film this and I was so exhausted that I just could not keep going. So I have sampled some of these shades and they're beautiful, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to start putting the eye look together and we'll see where I end up going. And then I do have a newer foundation in my collection. I got this at TJ Maxx for $4.99 a bottle. This is the Catrice True Skin Hydrating Foundation, 24-hour hydration, hyaluronic acid, long lasting. And I got 2 because this is neutral ivory and this is cool cashmere. And I thought maybe this would be too light. I thought maybe this would be too dark. But now I'm thinking I might just use this one because my face is a little more tan than usual because I've been getting outside and doing some stuff. So what I'll do before I get into the topic that I'm going to be discussing is I'm going to go prime my eyelids and pop some primer on my face, and then I'll get into this. The primer that I'm going to be putting on my face is the Revolution Beauty Mattify Matte and Fix Primer. I just thought this would work really well with a glowier foundation because I don't want to look super greasy or oily or sweaty. And then of course I'm going to be using my Juvia's Place Prep Prime Eyeshadow Primer for my eyelids. And so I'll go do that and I'll come right back. Okay, so my face is primed, my eyelids are primed, and I'm just putting some NYX Control Freak Clear Brow Gel in my brows now. I'm not putting any product other than this, just because I'm just trying to see if I like that better, because sometimes my brows look a little strange to me. Okay, so what am I going to be talking about while I put my makeup on? I'm going to be talking about how damaging the phrase, "you're too sensitive" is. Because I've heard that multiple times in my life, because I am a sensitive person and I have emotions and emotional reactions to things. And there have been times in my life where the people around me didn't like my reactions to the way they were treating me and things they were saying to me. And rather than taking any ownership of what they were saying and how they were behaving, I was told that I was too sensitive. And it's always upset me when someone has said that to me. And it's also made me feel like I can't own my emotions around things. And not to say that I've never overreacted to something, or maybe my emotional reaction was not always warranted in certain situations. I can see that for sure. But I really think that telling someone that they're too sensitive is a very hurtful, invalidating, and rude way to respond to someone. And so I started kind of looking into the phrase "you're too sensitive" online, just to see if I could maybe find some articles about that and like am I wrong for feeling that way? Because of course, because I've been told I'm too sensitive, I start thinking I'm wrong for how I feel about things. But I found some really great articles, and one in particular, and I'm going to be reading you guys the intro to this article, and then there are 8 reasons that the author of this article gives for why saying you're too sensitive is a really crappy thing to say to someone. Okay, so this is called Emotional Abuse. Have you ever been called too sensitive? And this was written by Marina Stepanova, she's a psychotherapist with honors. It doesn't say where she practices, though. If it does, I didn't get that part of the article. This was originally published on December 13th of 2021, and it was updated on the 24th of June, 2022. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to read the intro. Have you ever attempted to express your feelings to someone about having an issue with their behavior towards you, only to be shut down, ridiculed, and told that you were overreacting or being too sensitive? Perhaps you were told that you couldn't take a joke and that they can't say anything to you because you always take it the wrong way and get upset. You may have been left feeling stupid, confused, emotional, immature, or even embarrassed. Did it leave you feeling like you were making a big deal out of nothing? Did you start questioning yourself whether you overreacted? Did it make you want to seek reassurance from others to confirm that you had addressed the situation appropriately? Before we go any further, I would like you to know that you have a right to your feelings. If somebody tells you that what you are feeling is wrong after they've been unkind to you, they are probably trying to cloud your judgment for their own benefit. People get manipulated in all kinds of relationships, intimate ones, friendships, parent-child relationships, as well as professional ones. It is important to recognize when someone is trying to pull a veil over your eyes and make you feel like your feelings don't matter, so that you can protect yourself from getting hurt and start taking your power back to live your life in a way that is best for you. And this is actually coming from the Counseling Directory, is I think the journal that this came out of. And when I read that, I was like, hallelujah, because it's so true that you have the right to your feelings, and that nobody has the right to tell you that what you're feeling is wrong, or you're too sensitive, or you're overreacting, or whatever. And I know I just said that there have been times where, sure, I've overreacted, and it's usually, I think in every case, that there's something else going on underneath that somebody has kicked up by how they've treated me or what they've said to me. And that's not their issue. No, they can't control like what's gone on in my life prior to the conversation that we're having. But still, it's important that people, I think, stop saying you're too sensitive. And I'm going to give you some reasons why the phrase you're too sensitive should be retired. That's how she words it. Okay, so let's get into this eye look, right? I'm going to start by going into this shade here called Powerful and putting that in my transition area. It's this beautiful kind of like murky mauve shade. I really like it. It's gorgeous. Okay, so the first reason why the phrase you're too sensitive should be retired, according to Marina Stepanova, is it makes you believe that you need to change and make yourself smaller somehow. And I totally agree with that. And that's how I have felt during those types of conversations with folks when they've told me that I'm too sensitive. It makes me feel like, oh geez, I shouldn't have had that reaction, and I need to like quiet down or not have it, you know, like I just need to like minimize myself because my feelings apparently are too large for this situation. And I think that's also a huge part of what is called gaslighting. And Shawnee has a video, which I will find that video and I'll link it in my description box, where she explains what gaslighting means. Or maybe she just explained to me and Jan in a Marco Polo, but I'm pretty sure she talks about it in a video. Gaslighting is a term that basically means that someone is trying to convince you that their reality should be your reality. So I'll give you an example. I think this is how it all came to be. I'm pretty sure. And I can't remember the people's names here or what year it was or anything like that. But from what I remember Shawnee telling us, and maybe she does talk about it in the video, I don't know. I'll ask her before I just assume that it was in a video. But basically there was this married couple and they had gaslighting in their house. And the husband kept like adjusting the lighting, like turning it up or down, and or maybe it was one or the other, I don't know. And she would say, God, the lights are brighter or dimmer or whatever in here. What's going on? Are you messing with the lights or something? This is very paraphrased, okay? I don't know this is exactly what went on. And the husband was like, no, I haven't touched the lights. Like, I haven't done anything with the lights. You're crazy, basically. I don't know what you're talking about. And of course, he was messing with the lights and totally manipulating her into thinking that she wasn't seeing what she was seeing. And so that's where that phrase comes from. And it took me a while to figure out exactly what gaslighting meant and what it was. But I do believe that when people are telling you that you're too sensitive, that's what they're doing. They're gaslighting you. They're basically telling you that your experience with how they're treating you or what they're saying to you isn't valid, and that you're wrong, basically, and that they are correct in how they're treating you and how they're speaking to you. And, you know, I've heard people say things like, well, I can't be friends with her because, or him or whatever, can't be friends with this person because they can't take a joke. You know, I have to walk on eggshells around them. I can't be myself around them. I can't say whatever I want to them. And so I've, you know, found other people in my life that'll let me act like that. And the thing is how I truly believe is you shouldn't be allowed to just say whatever you want to somebody, right? You shouldn't. I think, of course, people should be honest with each other. And I think that's a really crucial part of relationships is honesty. Absolutely. I also think, however, that people can be honest without being nasty and shitty to people. I do. And I think that if I were in a relationship with anyone and they were telling me that how I was treating them was not cool and that they were having some really negative reactions to what I was saying, I would look at my behavior and what I was saying to this person before I would automatically jump on this bandwagon of you're too sensitive. Now, I will say, I was talking to Shani about this the other day, that I have said that before to people. Not a lot, but like I've said it to my daughter, I've said it to my son before, and I could just smack myself, honestly, for saying that to them because they weren't being too sensitive. They were having their own unique, personal, emotional reaction to whatever was going on. Now, that doesn't mean that you necessarily have to like agree with someone's reaction or think their reaction is like appropriate necessarily. No, but it's their reaction. So I think rather than saying you're too sensitive and minimizing them and making them feel small and not heard and dismissed, just keep the you're too sensitive part to yourself if that's really how you feel. Just don't say it. You don't need to say that. And, you know, I do think that there are people in this world that I am not meant to be friends with or not meant to be in a relationship with because I am sensitive and I am emotional. And there are people in the world that just do not jive with someone like me who is sensitive and emotional. And I'm not saying necessarily they're bad people. It's just I'm not cut out to be friends with them because they're not going to take any ownership for their crappy behavior. They're just not. And I've been in so many relationships in my life where people couldn't take ownership for their crappy behavior and the way they were treating me. And so I would just kind of, okay, you know, shrink down and let them keep doing it. And I don't do that anymore. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the shade right here. This one is called Spikes, and just blend the edge of that shade out. And I think that applied beautifully. It looks really nice. Okay, so the second reason, the second reason why we should retire the phrase you're too sensitive is it disconnects you from your true emotional experience. Right. And that kind of goes along with number one a little bit. Well, maybe not exactly. But it's so true because, and I think that's more of where the gaslighting comes from. Like, you're not entitled to have your emotional reaction. You know, this other person thinks that your emotions are not correct in the situation, and nobody has the right to tell you how to feel, okay? And I understand, like, I've heard a lot of people say, and I agree with this too, that nobody makes you feel a certain way. It's your choice how you feel, sure, okay? But I also think that it can be really difficult when someone is saying or doing things that are not nice or kind to not have an emotional reaction to it. And I do think that like, that can also be a little bit of a scapegoat for some folks. Like, well, yeah, I'm not making you feel anything. You're choosing to feel this way. Okay, sure. I get it. But at the same time, that's not a reason or an excuse to treat someone poorly or talk down to them or be an ass to them. Okay, it's just not. And that's, I think, what I get really frustrated with is that whole concept of, well, I didn't make you feel that way. You're choosing to feel this way. And yes, of course, there's truth to that. Of course there is. But I also think that if somebody shares with another person that what they're doing is hurtful and harmful, that they work to acknowledge it and not put it all on the other person. Well, this is you're choosing to react this way. I mean, that's kind of a slippery slope for me, that whole concept of you're choosing to feel something. Because you are. Yes, you are. But again, when someone's being a jerk, it's hard not to have a negative reaction to that or to feel hurt by it. Nobody wants to be treated poorly. No. And so I go back and forth with how I feel about that particular concept. And I would love to know what you guys think of that too. I guess ultimately what I've learned is that when somebody's being really nasty and continues to be really nasty, I'm just not going to be friends with them anymore. I'm not going to have a relationship with them anymore because I don't like how I'm reacting to what they're doing. But to minimize somebody's emotional reaction to something is awful. It's so invalidating. It's so rude, and it's abusive. It is. It's emotional abuse. And it's also what I've heard called being held emotionally hostage by someone else. Like you have to keep it all, under wraps, and it's a horrible way to feel. And it's also a really horrible part of abusive relationships, verbally abusive relationships. I mean, everything's horrible about an emotionally or verbally abusive relationship, but that's a really large component of it, is just not being able to experience your own emotions because you're told they're wrong. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the shade here called Smoke and deepen up the outer V with that. The next reason why we should retire the phrase "you're too sensitive" is it promotes feelings of shame. And absolutely, I have felt when someone has said that to me, very embarrassed and ashamed of my emotional reaction to something. And that's a really crappy way to feel. It's not fun to feel shame around your emotions. And I feel like saying shame on somebody else for trying to make someone feel ashamed of themselves, or, promoting that type of feeling in someone else by talking down to them, by gaslighting them, by telling them that how they're feeling is wrong. Shame on them for doing that. That's horrible. It's horrible. And when you start feeling ashamed of your emotions, then you stop expressing them. And that in and of itself is very damaging, when you aren't able to express yourself and own your emotions because you feel ashamed of them. Like the type of emotional oppression and suppression of that is really damaging to folks. And I've seen it a lot in my own life, where because I felt ashamed of my emotions, I would hold it back. And I'm not someone that holds back my emotions. I'm not. I don't want to do that. But I have, and it's been really, it's taken me a lot of therapy to get past that because I had to learn that just because somebody was telling me what they thought of me, it was really inaccurate, and I didn't need to feel ashamed of my emotions. There's no reason to feel ashamed of my emotions. And if I am having a really strong emotional reaction to something, it's usually a sign that there's something I need to deal with. And I think that's another part of it, is when you feel ashamed of your emotions, you're stuffing them down, and then you're not dealing with why you're feeling a particular way. And that can do a lot of damage too. I think that leads to being in relationships that are really yucky because you're ashamed of how you feel, you stuff it down, and then you just kind of don't stand up for yourself emotionally. The next reason is it makes you more susceptible to people pleasing. I'm going to go back around with this brush, just kind of blend that out a little bit. Oh boy, if there was a definition of the term people pleasing in the dictionary, it would just be my face because that's what I spent a lot of my life doing, is people pleasing because of my need to be accepted or loved. You know, I was always the one in my family that was like the comedian, made things better, smooth things over, super go with the flow, you know, never really like said a contrary word about anything. And I allowed, well, some of it I didn't allow. I was a kid. So what can you do? You know, you just kind of have to go along with what's going on around you with the adults in your life, parents and whatnot. But because I've been such a people pleaser in my life, it's really, I've been in a lot of yucky relationships because of that. And I still struggle with being a people pleaser. I do. But at the same time, I will say as I've gotten older, I have really learned that it's not my job to please everyone else. That it's my job to stay true to who I am and what I want out of my life, and not always make it about the other person. That it's okay to, you know, care about myself. And if I want to say no, I say no. And it's a very liberating, wonderful feeling to be able to say no in a lot of situations. Okay, that blended out absolutely easily, lickety split. I love how this looks. It's really pretty. So for the shimmers, now in the look that I did Friday night after work, I used these two shimmers and they're beautiful, but they just kind of melded into these shades and I liked it, but I don't know, I wanted a little bit more. So I think I am going to go into Fire. It's this beautiful like orange and yellow, and it's got like a little bit of this color in it too. So it might blend in. I don't know. We'll see. But that's what I'm going to use today. But I do believe that people pleasing is one of the most dangerous things you can do emotionally. It's so yucky. And I'm glad that I'm not quite as focused on that as I used to be. The next reason is it damages your relationships with others. Yeah, sure does. And I think in a couple different ways. Number one, it's because you become what I've been called is a narcissist magnet. Narcissistic people have a real tough time allowing others to have relationships. That is gorgeous. I'm really happy that I chose this shade. So pretty. They don't want you to have your own emotions. They want you to have their emotions. And when you don't, they can't handle it. So they become even more controlling and more abusive. And, you know, narcissistic people are very charming. And I used to be very easily charmed by that. You know, they do what's called love bombing. They are very, at first, very, like I said, charming and try to, oh, you know, I love you and you're the best person I've ever known. And I'm going to just shower you with affection and gifts and da-da-do-to-do. And then after a while, the real dragon comes out and then you're the bad guy. You know, if you have any kind of contrary emotion or contrary experience to what they feel you should have, then they just, it's awful. They are very invalidating. They don't care anymore at all how you feel, and they never cared how you felt. But it's almost like, you know, they butter you up and get you kind of built up the way they want you, only to then tear you down and then build you back up again in this other sick, manipulative, bizarre, controlling way. And I think what can happen too, which I've noticed in my life too, is that when I was around those types of people and allowing them to control and manipulate me, it damaged relationships I had with other people who weren't doing that to me because they were so controlling of my time. And I'm going to give you guys some personal stories towards the end of the video here to give you guys some real concrete examples of what I'm talking about. But they're just so emotionally controlling and manipulative, but yet started off with this charming love bombing stuff that it's hard to determine. Like, for me, it was anyway. It's not anymore, but it used to be like, who really is this person? Are they the charming love bomber that I, got so drawn in by? Or are they this controlling, manipulative, emotionally abusive, invalidating person? And it's just really damaging. It really damages, narcissists can really do a lot of damage to people in that it doesn't just leave you. Like, even if you end the relationship, like my personal experience of leaving relationships that I had with narcissistic people, then I started kind of looking at everybody like that. Like, is everybody going to do this to me? Everyone's going to do this to me. So now I'm going to just really, which is not easy for me. I mean, I don't like to back away from people. I really don't, because I love to love and be in, friendships with people and relationships. But those types of relationships I've had, they did for a while, damaged my relationships with other people too, because I was always waiting for the other shoe to drop, and ask my husband. I mean, he knows I put him through hell when we first started dating, because I thought, yeah, okay. I mean, I wanted to believe all the nice, wonderful things he was saying to me, but I'd been shown otherwise by other men. So it was yuck. The next reason is it keeps people in toxic, abusive situations. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go put a little bit of smoke back out here just to kind of take the edge of that shimmer off. Yeah, it does. Because you start doubting yourself. You start doubting your emotions. You start doubting your reactions. You start feeling like you're wrong. You take on this other person's viewpoint of you. And so you just fall into this yucky, toxic mess because you're trying, it's like that people pleasing, all of these things just feed right into it. You're trying to prove to them and to yourself that, you're not this too sensitive. You can take it. I can take it. I can take it. I can take it. It's just, and some of you may be like, I would never do that. So this might be very foreign. Like, you might be listening to me and thinking, I would never do that. And good for you. I think that's awesome. And I'm very proud of you. But I suffered from this in my life, and I didn't want to continue to be the victim. I didn't want to continue to be in toxic, abusive relationships. And so, I just had to do a lot of work on myself and really fight, like, where's all this coming from? Why am I continuing to put myself in yucky situations? Why am I so easily charmed by people? Why am I so easily led down this yucky path? And what can I do to stop it? What can I do to get this crap out of my life once and for all and not continue to get myself back into it, But when you're told that you can't listen to your own self and believe your own self, it does lend itself to having you be in very toxic, abusive relationships. And it's just so awful. Okay, I kind of cleaned it up a little bit, but I do have some sparkly fallout on my face, which that's okay, because I'm going to put my foundation over the top of it. So I think what I am going to do is just focus on this shade right here. I do think this is going to work okay. And if it doesn't, I'll pop some of the lighter shade in. But I feel like that's way too light now. Like, when I got this, I've had this for a little while. When I got it, I was pretty neon pasty white. And now I have a little bit of a tan. So I'm just going to pump a little bit of this out on the back of my hand, if I can get it to work. Oh, there we go. I put like 5 pumps on the back of my hand, so there's that much. So I'm just going to start just kind of splotching this on. This might even be too light, actually. But they didn't have a whole lot of shades offered at TJ Maxx, but I've been wanting to try this foundation for a really long time. So, I just thought, let's try it. Oh, got on my lip. Oh, well. Let's try it and see what we think, I haven't tried a new foundation in a while. I've been using the BB cream and the Wet n Wild tinted hydrator on my face a lot. The next reason, we just have this one and one more. The next reason is it ignores the real issues at play. Absolutely. And those real issues at play are the person trying to be manipulative and controlling and to get you to minimize yourself, to get you to people please, all of the things I've already talked about. That's what the real issues at play here are. And also, I think another real issue at play here is that when you get disconnected from your feelings, you aren't able to really address the real issues at play. And this is pretty light. I'm gonna have to probably bronze my face up pretty good. I don't know what I was thinking. Again, I picked another foundation that is way too light for me. This is looking a little pasty. It is cool tone, like it's cool cashmere. Which I kind of have more of a golden neutral undertone to my skin. So I don't know, man. I think if I had more olivey skin, this would look a little bit better. But I'm going to make it work, you guys. I'm going to make it work. It might take me a little bit of time, but I'm going to make it work. And, you know, that's something that I learned when I went to therapy finally after getting out of some really toxic relationships, romantic relationships, and going to therapy was I learned, like, the real issues of why I was tolerating this stuff and why I was continually putting myself into these abusive, controlling, emotionally controlling and abusive relationships. And in some it went beyond that, but, and really delving into why, and then making some really necessary adjustments and realizing that as much as I want to love others and as much as I enjoy being loved too, I didn't need to just completely let myself go and just abandon myself in these types of relationships. And that being told I was too sensitive and wanting the person to not think that I was too sensitive, you know, it just really damaged me and then disconnected me from what the real issues were. And the real issues were just, you know, lots of stuff that was going on when I was being brought up and, you know, just looking for validation and love in the wrong people. And that's not easy for me to face. It wasn't easy for me to face. It wasn't easy for me to deal with the real reasons why this was continuing to go on in my life. It sucks. You know, it's painful, it sucks, it stirs up all kinds of crap that you'd rather just forget about. But I'm also glad that I did that, because that's really what stopped it, you know, stopped me from engaging in these toxic, yucky situations with people, for sure. I don't know how I feel about this foundation. It looks a little patchy kind of on my nose. Bitsy, come in here. Come in here, baby. This cat, she's just having a real tough time with Mama filming. Come in here, baby. You want to come in here? Can you say hi? Come here. Can you say hi to everybody? This is Bitsy. You know, Bitsy Lou. She's just, I don't know what's going on with her. I'm bringing up cat hair all over me now. But she's just having a real tough time with Mama filming. I think the more it sits here, I'm liking it better. And I maybe should have put a little bit more on, but I didn't want to keep adding because it's not the right shade. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bronze my face with the Revolution Beauty Cream Bronzer in Light. And I don't have any powder on yet because I don't like to put this over the top of powder. I think you can do that, but I just don't really like to do that. And then I'll powder once I get this on. The last reason here is that it makes you view your greatest strength as your greatest weakness. And that's something that just hit me right where I live, because that is so true. I, for a long time, because of what other people were telling me and the way other people were treating me, I know this looks really weird. Just give me a minute and I'll make it look better. I promise. I viewed my sensitivity and my emotions as a weakness, and that I needed to toughen up and, you know, not be so hard on my sleeve and, you know, not let, just be very stoic and very like emotionless. And that's just not who I am. And once I really realized that, like, there's nothing wrong with that in me, and that it actually is a big strength, and that the people who love me love that part of my personality, And the people that are narcissistic abusers and jerks don't like it because they don't like how it makes them feel. And they don't want to have to change, oops, that fuzz right here. They don't want to change their behavior towards me. It just made me understand that, like, I don't need to view that as a weakness. It's a strength. Absolutely. And another thing it really made me realize is that not everybody deserves my emotions. You know what I mean? Like, I've had, and I know I've kind of touched on this already, but not everybody deserves my emotions and my sensitivity. And if they can't handle it and they don't like it and they're totally unwilling to see their contribution to my emotional reaction, you know, not, again, I know I have my own, it's my choice how I react to things and how I feel about things. But if they can't take any ownership of their crappy behavior, then what the hell am I doing being in their life? And what the hell are they doing and being in my life? You know, I had to look at my own contribution too. The fact that, like, I was kowtowing and, you know, minimizing, and no, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to view my emotions or my sensitivity as a weakness. No way in hell am I going to do that. And again, like I mentioned before, I'm not meant to be friends with everybody. I'm not meant to be in a relationship with everybody. Hell no. And I've learned that too. You know, that used to, I guess that was one thing I saw as a weakness too. Like if I can't, you know, be friends with somebody and I can't get them to like me or jive with me, then that's a weakness. There's something wrong with me. And no, that's not true. I have hairs stuck in my bronzer on my forehead. I want those off. Okay, there we go. I need to get like a headband. I have one somewhere. I just can't find the damn thing. I have like a really cute little headband, but I just don't know where it is. And I'm getting this in my hair, my bronzer a little bit, but I mean, what are you going to do? And I think that looks beautiful. And I do think that kind of helped my foundation look a little less too light for my skin. Or am I just fooling myself? I don't know. So now I'm going to powder myself, and my powder's right here. The CoverGirl Clean Professional in Translucent. But yeah, I refuse to view emotions and sensitivity as a weakness. Hell no. I will be strong in my sensitivity and my emotions. Heck yeah. And I will express them whether somebody likes them or not. Again, it's their choice too, how they react to my emotions. Sure. So, you know, but I'm just not going to be anybody's doormat and think that I'm weak because I'm sensitive. You know, I've had people call me Laura Ingalls on this platform, which I think is funny. I do. But at the same time, I don't know. I have feelings about that a little bit. I mean, I know it was just a joke and stuff, and I'm not trying to be too sensitive and get all, you know, butthurt over being called Laura Ingalls. And I do think it was meant affectionately in some cases. In some cases it wasn't. But, you know, whatever. I mean, but I'm going to own my Laura Ingalls-ness, right? I am. So now, now that I've kind of gone through this very informative, amazing aspects of this article, and it does talk about ways to respond to people who are talking to you like this, and I'll go over a couple of those before I end the video. But I just, while I'm doing the rest of my makeup, I thought what I would do is share some personal stories I've dealt with in terms of, you know, being told I'm too sensitive, or just kind of just some things that went on in my life. I'm going to grab, I think, this brush right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a little bit of the powder, and I'm going to blend right here on my eye look, just because it looks funky. And I've been noticing when I do this, I like how it looks better right there. It just looks a little bit more like the eyeshadow belongs, I guess is what I would say. Because I have that real stark line between the like foundation and the eyeshadow. And so this, using my translucent powder, just kind of helps take that away a little bit. So a while back, I was in a particular friend group, and I'm actually still in the friend group. And there was probably like, I don't know, 5 or 6 of us, maybe, well, probably, well, 6 to 8 people, I would say, in this friend group. Blush. I was going to use the one that I have in my panning project, but I don't think it's going to go very well with this. So hold on, I'm going to go grab a blush. I'm going to use my Moira Cosmetics Ombre blush. This is 08 Soft Berry. And I know my hair's looking like a hot mess. I'll get it fixed before I end the video. Anyway, so we were in this group, friend group, and I'm gonna go real light because this is hella pigmented. Holy crap. And there was one person that was involved in the friend group that was pretty narcissistic, I would say, and started off in this group as being very demonstrative, love bombing. And at the time I didn't see it as that, but that's what it was. And was very generous in, you know, like gift giving and like coming up with little nicknames for all of us. And, you know, just, I don't know. And at first, again, I was very charmed. We all were very charmed by it. I thought this person was really cool and really a good friend, and really enjoyed the person. And I mean, for quite a while, like over a year, I would say. And then as time went on, this person started really bashing other people to me quite often. Like pretty much every time we would have any kind of communication, this person was talking shit about other people. And I don't like that. Not to say I've never talked shit about somebody. Of course, we all have, you know, of course we have. I mean, maybe some of you haven't, but you know, like not necessarily talking shit, but like if you're having a problem with someone else, you might go to a friend and say, hey, how do I, this is what's going on. How do I, can you help me? Give me some advice on how to manage this or whatever. But this person was just being awful about other people. Awful. I'm going to go back around with this sponge. Just kind of tamp that down a little bit so it doesn't look quite so. And it just started to bother me quite a lot, you know, because I didn't really want to be in a situation where I was, you know, hearing all this negative stuff about other people, and it just wasn't sitting well with me. And some of the things this person was getting upset with other people about, I was like, what the hell? This seems really nitpicky and bizarre. And I also heard this person say on several occasions that they had felt in their life that they couldn't just say to people whatever they wanted to say and had to walk on eggshells, and they didn't like that. And like, you know, this person would say, I'm only friends with people that can handle my bluntness and my honesty. And I thought, okay, like that was kind of a red flag to me. I was like, because again, some of the things that this person was getting upset with others for, I was like, huh? So now I'm going to go into, I'm going to go into this darker shade first, called Smoke, and put that on my lower lash lines, and then blend it out a little bit with Spikes. So anyway, like I said, I started pulling away from this person because I thought, but we were all still in the same friend group and stuff. I just wasn't talking or spending time with this person as often as I had in the past. And I also started noticing that the other people in the friend group were doing the same thing. They were kind of like pulling away from this person. And I was like, huh, that's kind of interesting that we're all kind of doing this, right? And eventually, a couple of the people in the friend group reached out to me and said, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've pulled away from so-and-so because they've been saying some really nasty things about you to me and to me. And I was like, huh, well, this person's been saying some really nasty things about you to me. And that's typically what's going on. Like, I've learned that. Like, if someone is coming to you and telling you a lot of really yucky things about other people, chances are they're probably doing it about you behind your back too. And then acting like, I would never, you're my friend, I would never, yuck. So, long story short, too late, we all pulled away from this person. Now, I'm telling you right now, if I was in a friend group and everybody in that friend group pulled away from me, I would be wanting to know what the hell I'd done wrong. I would be like, hey, did I offend somebody? Did I hurt someone's feelings? Like, what can I do to mend things here? Unless they were all, you know, jerks, maybe, but, you know. And rather than this person, let me turn my fan off. It's blowing right in my eye, and I was getting kind of sweaty, but now I'm fine. Rather than this person, like, taking any kind of, like, initiative to see, like, what, did I do something wrong? No. This person then has said to other folks, well, none of them could handle me. None of them could handle my bluntness and my honesty. And, you know, I'm not gonna I shouldn't have to walk on eggshells around people. They're all too sensitive. No, not the case. So now I'm going to go into spikes just a teeny tiny bit with this brush and just barely blend the edge of this out just so it's not quite so harsh. And, you know, the statistical probability of all of us being too sensitive and this one person being right, the rest of us are wrong, that's just not the case. It's not the case. And I don't regret pulling away from this person. None of us regret pulling away from this person because this person was awful, mean, just yucky. Didn't start off that way. It was all kind of surprising to all of us. I mean, it's not like we've all sat and talked about it a lot, but we have discussed it. I mean, and this was a while ago, quite a while ago. So, you know, it's not like this just happened or anything. It's been years since this has gone on. But anyway, you know, it just made me, just another example of people who are so quick to say that others are too sensitive, but don't ever take the time that they need to really look at their own behavior and understand that it's their crappy behavior that's pulling people away. You know, this person said that I was a horrible friend because I pulled away from this person. Well, I pulled away from the person because I was tired of listening to them run their mouth about others, you know, and them not taking any responsibility for that. It's just like, okay. But, you know, I think that when somebody starts telling you that kind of stuff, pulling away is the exact right thing to do. And I don't regret it at all. I'm glad that I did that. I'm going to take this brush that had the powder on it, just kind of go around too. You know, and I've also heard this person now saying things like, well, I've found friends that can handle me and I can be whoever, you know, I can truly be myself around them. Okay. Well, if they're going to tolerate your abusiveness, then let them. I'm not going to. Those of us that really care about ourselves and really don't want to be in a yucky, toxic situation, we're going to extract ourselves and not be involved in that. Another story I wanted to tell you guys. Oh boy, this is a doozy. And I'm probably not going to be putting my makeup on the whole time, but we'll see. I'm going to put, oh, this is the Wet n Wild Breakup Proof Waterproof Liquid Eyeliner, Felt Tip Liner. I'm going to use this because I think it'll work really well over the top of the shadows. So I had a friend for about 4 or 5 years who I considered like my best friend. And I learned very quickly in our relationship that she had some, I don't know how to word it, insecurities maybe. And she expected me to like fix those for her, kind of, I guess is what I would say. And she was, she could have all the friends she wanted, but she did not like me to have any other friends in my life, to the point where even my relationship with my kids and my mother became an issue for her. And, you know, I talked to her about it, and I explained to her that like, that was not okay, that I, you know, she didn't have any right to control me or manipulate me emotionally, and that I was going to have whatever friendship I wanted in my life or relationship, period, and that I wasn't going to run it by her, and that it didn't affect my feelings or relationship with her at all. But I have the right to other folks in my life. Anyway, she and I, well, not she and I decided to end the friendship because I just couldn't take it anymore. And quite commonly, whenever I would try to share how I felt with her, she would say, "You're too sensitive." She would just, you know, gaslight the ever-loving you-know-what out of me. And basically what ended our friendship was that my mom had passed away. And she got really upset with me one time that I wouldn't go to a party with her. And when I told her that I was having a tough time with social situations after my mom passed away, she made this crappy comment about, well, I didn't act like that when my grandma died. And I was just like, I'm done. That's it. Like, it had been going on for a long time. Okay. So, and I don't really know why I'm telling you guys this story. I'm just telling it to you because it kind of goes along with the you're too sensitive. And well, this part of it is how someone can react to you finally pulling out of a really negative situation because you're too sensitive. This is how this person reacted to this. So I ended the friendship in, I think it was February of, 2017. And I kind of go backwards on this side because it's just easier. And in April of 2017 was this person's birthday. And I didn't reach out to her on her birthday because I just had made a clean break. I explained to her why I was no longer friends with her. And then that was it for me. So, you know, it wasn't like she didn't know why I ended the friendship, you know. I mean, anyway, it doesn't matter. So it's April. I know what day it was, but I don't think I need to repeat that part of it. Anyway, it was April. And I had gone to bed one night and Braden was home and Sydney was spending the night at a friend's house. And I got up about 2 o'clock in the morning to use the bathroom. And as I'm walking to the bathroom, I hear this on the front of the house. It kind of sounded like somebody was knocking on the door, but I wasn't, not exactly. So I went and looked out the window, Sydney's bedroom window that faces the street, and I see just the taillights of someone's car driving away. And I was like, well, that's weird. But I didn't see anything. There was no one standing out in front of the house. Sydney wasn't home. Like, you know, Braden's sound asleep, something, and well, maybe I heard something. I don't know. So I go to bed and get up the next morning and it's, you know, 9, 10 o'clock and I'm having my coffee, just a nice leisurely morning. My daughter walks in the house coming home from her friend's house and she's like, hey, Mom. And I'm like, what? And she's like, come out here with me. Now I'm going to use the Tarte Gifted mascara. So I go outside with her and somebody had just egged the Everlovin out of the front of my house. Just very strategically placed eggs, I might add. The front door was just demolished. Sydney's bedroom windows had been nailed, which is weird because I looked out her window. I just didn't see the egg, I guess. I don't know. And it was 2 o'clock in the morning and I was tired and, you know, kind of come out of a sound sleep. All over the garage door, it had splattered back onto my car. And this had been at like, you know, 2 o'clock in the morning. So now it's 9 or 10. And so it was warm out. It was pretty warm. It was like in the high 80s. And so now this stuff's been baking on my house for 8 hours, something like that. And I'm just like, oh shit. You know, I was so mad because it's, you know, it's a pain in the butt to have to clean that up. And I mean, they used probably 2 to 3 dozen eggs. I mean, that's how bad it was. It was horrible. So Braden gets up and he's just livid. And at first he thought, well, it's probably one of, oops, I just got some of that on my face. Probably one of my friends from the football team. And I'm like, do you think? And he's like, yeah, it could be, like thinking it's funny. And, you know, he's like, whoever did this has a really good aim. So he's like, you know, I wouldn't doubt that they're an athlete of some sort. And maybe, you know, who knows? Maybe I don't even know the person. But that's what we thought at first. And as we're cleaning everything up, I look over to my next door neighbor's house and I remember and I see they have a surveillance camera over the top of their door. And I'm like, so I go over and knock on the door and I didn't know him real well, but I knew him well enough. And I said, hey, does this thing work? And the guy's like, yeah, it does. And I said, could you do me a favor when you have time? Can you look on the footage and see around 2 o'clock in the morning if you can see the person that egged my house? And he's like, yeah. And he came out and looked at it. He's like, holy crap, they got you good. And I'm like, yeah, I know. This is sticking weird. So we got everything cleaned up. And in a couple days, the guy next door came over and he said, I have the tape pulled up if you want to come over and look at it. He said, you can clearly see who did it. And I'm like, okay. So I go over and look and it was my friend. Well, no longer my friend. This person that I had ended our friendship a couple months prior, it was her. Because she did it on her birthday. Because she was mad at me that I hadn't gotten a hold of her on her birthday. And her son, who had been friends with my son prior, they'd had their own falling out because he acted just like his mom did. He was the quarterback of the football team. So yeah, the aim was just spot on. And they were just laughing and having a grand old time egging my house. And I was so angry, so angry. I'm still angry about it when I think about it. And I know some of you are probably going to say to me, why the hell didn't you call the cops? And I thought about it. I did think about calling the cops, but we'd already cleaned it all up. And, you know, they didn't, I mean, you can still kind of see some of the egg splotches on the front of the house. I'm going to use the Mr. Fluff's Magic Spells palette and put my highlighter on. And also for my inner corners. And I'm trying to decide what shade to use. I'm thinking, I think I'm going to use Poppy Love. That's got a really pretty shift to it. I think that'll look really good with the shimmer shade on the lid. I really like the eyeshadows. They're gorgeous. The shimmer shades are a little bit blow-uppy, But, you know, that could just be that I didn't use a tacky enough primer maybe, which I need to get better about doing that. I don't know. I didn't do anything about it. And I don't know. I kind of wish now that I had. This might be a little too big of a brush. No, it's okay. But it just made me even more glad that I was no longer friends with her, because I just thought, what a weird, yucky thing to do, you know, like we're in high school gonna egg. Well, her son was in high school, but she, you know, I just thought, why are you, I don't know, just so bizarre to me that somebody would act like that as a grown adult. You know, woman in her early 50s is going to come with her son and a friend of his too, another friend of my son's, and come egg our house. Like, come on. Anyway, so that just goes to show that there are people out there that really cannot handle when you finally do get a backbone and you tell somebody that you're done with their crap. This is how they can react. Fortunately, that hasn't been the experience with most people in my life that I've cut ties with. But anyway, all this to say, I just think that being told you're too sensitive is BS, and I think saying it is BS too. And like I mentioned, I have said it before, and I've had to really watch my mouth, because that's not a good thing to say. And I don't think everybody should just be able to say whatever they want to everybody else, and that if somebody can't take it, they're the problem. I don't agree with that. I think that you do need to be kind, and there are ways to word things where you can be honest but still be kind and loving and gracious to somebody. And if you can't do that, then I would say you kind of maybe need to look at yourself and re-examine. You know, I've had family members where, you know, it was like expected and kind of funny, like, oh, she's just gonna, or he, or whatever, gonna say whatever they're gonna say, and oh, just, well, I can't wait to see what they do at the party, because they're just gonna like go off on everybody. And it's like, yeah, gross. Gross. You know, I don't think that's cool. I think that's, I don't know, weird, honestly. And unfortunately, there are people in the world that are going to tolerate it. And I tolerated it for a really long time. So this isn't me putting anyone down. I tolerated that kind of behavior for a really long time, and that kind of treatment from others for a really long time. And I just refuse to do that now. Okay, I'm done. So I don't really like to put my lip product on camera, because I don't like to talk and put my lipstick on at the same time, and it takes me forever. So I'm going to go put my lipstick on, get my hair done, and I'll come back. So this, of course, is my finished look, and I really like how the look turned out. Love the eyeshadow palette. Really fun to finally finish a look with the eyeshadow palette. Bitsy finally fell asleep on the bed, and I'm not totally exhausted, so that was great. I will say that I don't love the foundation. However, I want to continue to use it and see if I can like it better. The shade's wrong, and the application, well, I don't know if it was the application was bad. I mean, I apply my foundation the same every time, but my nose looks a little weird, my chin, but I'm just going to keep playing with it. Another thing I did not do is I didn't shake the bottle, which people tell me to do, and I forget to do that. I just go in cold, so my fault. I used the NYX matte lipstick in the shade Siren on my lips. The application's not the greatest, but I got it on my lips, and that's all I care about. Okay, and I'll go over some of the products with you more in detail before I end the video. But I did want to read to you guys some of the responses that the author of the article gives to people when they tell you you're too sensitive, or you can't take a joke, or they can't say whatever they want to you, or whatever. I'm not going to read all of them, but some of them are awesome, so I wanted to read them to you. Okay, the first one is, you're right. I agree with you that I am sensitive. What you did hurt my feelings. Love it. I hear that you think I'm too sensitive. I disagree. I hear that you think I'm too sensitive. It might also be the case that you're too rough. Love that. If the tables were turned, you might not feel the way I feel, but that doesn't mean that my feelings are too big or invalid. Amen. Let's see. If I agree to explore why I am having a strong emotional response, would you agree to explore why you're feeling the need to criticize my emotional response? Yes. Let's see. When you tell me I am too sensitive in a moment when I feel hurt by something you've done, I feel judged and criticized. And then the last one here I'll read is, correct me if I am wrong, but I don't think it's your job to decide the appropriate size or type of emotional response. Thank you. I read those to Shawnee, and she's like, I agree. Those are great responses. But she said, I would have maybe a more to the point response, like, bye. I thought that was great. Okay, so let me show you guys a couple things I used on my face today. I'm not going to go over everything. Let's start off with the foundation. I already kind of touched on this. It's too light. I don't know that I love the formulation, but I will shake the crap out of the bottle the next time I use it, because that usually does help. It does. But I do think the finish is nice. I do. My nose and my chin look a little funky. And maybe I didn't apply enough. I don't know. I've gotten so used to using a BB cream that like more coverage maybe is freaking me out a little bit. I don't know. And then this eyeshadow palette is absolutely stunning. My Dawn palette. I didn't really focus on the packaging, but isn't that the coolest? Dragon Eye from What's Up Beauty. Now, in the last look that I attempted when I almost fell asleep sitting here, I did use these two shimmers. This is called Magic and this is called Monster, and they're gorgeous. They're really pretty, but they did just kind of like into the mattes. They weren't really as like boom pow as this was with these mattes. This is gorgeous. The shade Fire. I love it. Very Dragon Eye looking to me. So I think what I'll do the next time I use this, if I choose to use these two shimmers, is I'll use them with these mattes just so they'll pop a little bit more. But I'm really excited to use the rest of the shimmers in here because they're absolutely gorgeous. When I first got this and saw the color story, I thought the mattes were a little bizarre with the shimmers. But I really don't think that anymore. And the mattes work so well. Oh my gosh, so pigmented, and they blended like a dream. They kind of just blended themselves. Love it. And of course, I love my Mr. Fluff's Magic Spells little highlighter duochrome palette using this shade right here called Poppy Love. Beautiful in my inner corners and on my face. Everything else worked really well, and I've used all this other stuff before. So fun. My main goal in talking about this today was to, of course, get your guys' input, and also just to bring some awareness to the damaging effects that the phrase "you're too sensitive" can bring about. And I do think that, while I mention this, that I have had maybe not a totally congruent emotional reaction to something that someone has done or said to me. It's still my right to have the emotional reaction, and I don't need my emotional reaction to be criticized by anybody. None of us do. None of us do. And I also get really tired of hearing people saying things like, well, this person just can't take a joke, and I can't be honest with this person. I'm just honest. I'm very bluntly honest, and if people can't handle that, that's their problem. Okay, you can walk around thinking that, sure. But you can also learn how to treat people in a more constructive, more kind, more loving way. And I am honest with people all the time, but I don't hurt their feelings. I can be honest and not be hurtful. And I do believe, not in all cases, okay, but I do believe in a lot of cases when someone is trying to minimize your emotional reaction to something, telling you you're too sensitive, or you can't take a joke, or you have to walk on eggshells, they can't say whatever they want to you, it's because they're narcissists. And narcissistic people, true narcissists, are never going to see a problem with how they treat anyone. And once they burn through some people, they'll just continue to find people to burn through the rest of their lives. And unfortunately, there are people in the world like myself, I always used to be, that will allow that to go on. And I love it when I see someone disconnect from a really narcissistic, emotionally abusive, not emotionally validating relationship. I just think that is amazing. It's amazing. So I just encourage you, if you have a friend or anyone in your life that's treating you like this and telling you you're too sensitive and they can't joke with you and all the things I said, take care of yourself and maybe tell them how you feel. And if you've told them how you feel 43,000 times and they're still doing it, I highly support you getting the heck away from that person. I love that I'm sensitive. I love that I have emotions. I love that I'm not stoic. Not to say that there's anything wrong with being stoic, okay? I have a lot of stoic folks in my life too, but they're also really loving, caring folks as well. I think you can have a combination. We're a dichotomy, all of us. We have all kinds of little pieces that make us who we are. But I will never again view my sensitivity or my emotions as my weakness. That's my strength. And if people don't agree, then they can kindly see themselves out my front door, because I'm not going to change my sensitive or emotional part of who I am. I don't think anybody should have to do that. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your lives to sit down and watch this video. If you're new here and you enjoyed what you saw, please consider subscribing, smash the like button, and of course, comment down below in the comment section. I'd love to chat with you guys there. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. I cannot wait to see you guys again in my next video. But in the meantime, please take very good care of yourself. Be well, safe, happy, and I will see you soon. Bye.
Drop it.